Good morning, good people and warriors alike, masters of the fist. I'm your brother, fellow warrior, Turtle Sage here for another fun-filled episode of Combat Commentary. In today's episode, we're going to try something new. Basically, what we're going to try, and I really think I should have done this years ago, but hey, better late than never. We're going to analyze a fighter. And I think this is pretty cool because, it can't just be all about me or abstract subjects. Let's look at the tangible, right? So, on today's episode, we are going to talk about a brother in the UFC by the name of Israel Adesanya. He's a Nigerian brother, very talented striker. And we're going to analyze the way he fights and what he's good at, where he can improve, and what we can learn from him, right? Okay, so starting off, examining his overall skill sets, I definitely see him. He's clearly a Taekwondo guy. He has definitely learned Taekwondo, and you can tell just by the way he kicks. Very snappy. He loves the low kick, and he loves that question mark kick. But it's basically a kick where it's like a roundhouse, but you're cutting down. He loves the head kicks. And his footwork. He particularly does this spin move that you see in Olympic Taekwondo, where they look like they're about to throw like a roundhouse, but they don't lift it up and they spin around and usually throw like a spinning back kick or a spinning wheel kick. Very cool, right? He likes to jab, but he is also, again, known for his footwork, hitting at odd angles. Beautiful slip game. This guy is very elusive. He's 6'4", about 184, 185 pounds. So very, very wiry. Right? Very wiry Nigerian. That said, the trick to fighting him, because he's taller than a lot of his guys, so he tends to leave his hands down a lot more. Fight him close quarters. And, I watched three different fights of his. One against Yoel Romero out of Cuba, Marvin Vittori out of Italy, and Kelvin Gastelum out of the States. And all three of those guys were smaller than him. Kelvin probably by the biggest margin, and I think, in my opinion, he gave Izzy, the last style bender, his toughest fight, in my opinion. But all three of these fighters showed one glaring weakness. Israel is kind of claustrophobic. He does not like being in close quarters. He has a tendency, especially when he gets backed up against the wall, the cage or whatever, he has a tendency he will literally run. And he won't clinch up with you. He's a long range fighter. He's an outboxer, as they say. And anytime that's happened, anytime he's gotten taken down, you can almost see kind of a subtle panic in his eyes. It's pretty hilarious to me. But it is what it is. I think that while he is still in his physical prime and can move and groove almost like Spider-Man, I think it would behoove him to learn to fight better in the clinch, as well as learn it will improve his wrestling game, jiu-jitsu or whatever. Um, he tends to muscle his way through a lot of things, and he relies on his range, which obviously, if you're 6'4", yeah, it is what it is. Um, and his natural speed. However, what happens when you're dealing with somebody who has the same gifts, athletic gifts as you? You know, in the boxing world, Deontay Wilder ran into this problem with Tyson Fury. What happens when somebody is as big as you, right? You've got to become more multifaceted and multidimensional. Like, for example, you can't always rely on those long legs. Granted, against each of his opponents, they did their job. He, like, when he would fought Yoel Romero, gotta roll the R's. Um, he abused that low kick from the orthodox position. He tore that right leg of his up, man. It was just brutal. But Yoel would basically he didn't do much during that fight, but when he did, he would counter Izzy because he would let Izzy come in and attack, and he'd slip subtly, and he'd come with an overhand left, and it would land consistently. But the thing about it is he didn't follow up a lot, which I think if he did, I think he could have beaten Israel. Another thing that I didn't see these guys doing a lot. The only one who did it was Yoel. When you're fighting tall people, you want to come in with the high guard. The way I see it, it's like, imagine you're on an ancient battlefield in the BC era. You're Sparta or Rome or whoever, and you're fighting against the Persians or the Nubians, and because they both of those respective empires live either on plains or in a desert, they're going to be good at archery or long range combat. So what do? You got to be good at defense. In defense, you hold your shield up, let the arrows hit your shield. Well, same thing with Israel. Israel is he's built like a Nubian. Ironically, he's a tall black man from Africa, right? You come in like so, abuse the high guard. Yoel Romero, he would constantly shape the high guard because he knew Israel was going to come high either with a jab or the high roundhouse question mark kick. He knew that was coming. Granted, he could have defended those low kicks better, but I digress. I feel like if he would have done more, he could have won that fight. Kelvin and Marvin, they did not, and they took more damage than they should have. I see this a lot in the UFC. I'm not saying it's indicative of every mixed martial artist, but man, they like to keep their hands low. Me personally, as I get older, my hands are staying high. I'm not as fast as I was at 25. I'm almost 40. So I keep my hands up because, one, I've gotten better at grappling. Two, it allows me to work in more Tai Chi and yield and throw people off balance. See, if I were to fight someone like Israel Adesanya, I would stay close to him. Even if I didn't take it to the ground, I would stay up on him. And here's why. Because when he doesn't have range, one thing I've noticed about his punches in particular, while they're fast, they don't have as much power as they should. And here's why. You've heard me mention this in many an episode of How to Fu. He punches from his shoulder, like he's always trying to muscle it through. You don't want to do that. all my kung fu teachers, my ninjutsu teacher, Grandmaster Lee, Ross Saborin, Sifu Herb, they always say, relax your shoulders, right? You relax your shoulders, elbow lines up with the knee, turn the waist, sink, snap, inch power. I would be abusing him with inch power. But that's me. Not everybody knows how to use inch power, but man, when you do, it's almost like a cheat code. So again, I feel like that part of kung fu, Chinese martial arts, I know it's controversial to even bring up Chinese martial arts, but I feel like that particular skill set, learning how to use inch power, 1, you burn less energy, you're not tearing up your shoulder. 3, you have way more power and speed, and against a guy like that who does not do well at close quarters, you can do a lot of damage without taking tons of damage. Come in, high guard. Okay, he's trying to get away or swing wildly. You can press him, hit, right? Snap his head back, daze him, hit him in the midsection, uppercut. I watched a video earlier on Roy Jones Jr., ironically, and he was talking about throwing a hook, a lead hook, and this man has the fastest lead hook in the history of boxing. And you punch, instead of coming in like this, thumb down, he said thumbs up, right? Thumbs up, close to the body, snap, right? You can snap them off real fast. And because your elbow is close to your body, you get more power that way. So, a guy against someone like Israel Adesanya, who appears to be claustrophobic, I could be wrong, correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section, please do. But a close quarters boxer that can also fight well on the ground could terrorize him as he gets older. Because, that's just it. He fights like a tall person. He fights like a tall, young man. Now, if I were Israel Adesanya, I would definitely improve my grappling. I would definitely keep my hands higher for the future. Just work on that. Learn inch power. Keep everything else, but just add to the mix of his already potent arsenal. His slip game, beautiful. Maintain it while you can. Because eventually someone always catches you. No one really wins. You just lose slowly. My advice to his opponents, specifically Marvin Vettori and Kelvin Gastelum, do not drop your hands, because specifically Melvin Vettori, he was throwing, when he would throw head kicks, he would throw them with his hands down, and he was so sloppy about it that he would take damage that he didn't need to, and he telegraphed a lot. Now, back to Yoel Romero, gotta roll the R's. He kept his hands high, and because he has so much power, Israel was very gun shy when he fought him. He just didn't do enough, and so the judges gave it to him. That's another thing. Israel does a lot, in particular, among not grappling, among keeping it a long-range fight. He tends to leave it up to the judges a lot. Make him pay for that. I would. But this is my analysis. You are welcome to agree or disagree. Leave your comments in the comment section. And I hope you guys enjoyed this, new experiment on my combat commentary. I think I will do more of this. And with that said, if you like what you saw, you know what to do. Ring that bell like Israel Adesanya does with his low kicks to everyone's legs. And like, share, subscribe, leave your comments. let's get this conversation started because yes, he is the big name on the block, and I gotta say about it is nothing against him, but I was talking about this with my dad. And by the way, happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. That an organization like the UFC knows who they want to win, so they will hype up people. They did it with Conor McGregor. They did it with Ronda Rousey. They did it with several others. And I get it. They want to sell tickets, but man, just be somewhat realistic and don't look like at times that you're trying to throw the fight. But that's just my conjecture. You can agree to we can agree to disagree if you don't agree or whatever. But again, let's keep it respectful. And with that said, be water, my friends. Train hard, get stronger. Leave your comments. Turtle Sage, signing out.